Hello, it's Kadisha. I'm back with another video. I was watching this movie yesterday, and that movie took me up and down, up and down, up and down. And when I say that, I mean like I was happy, I'm laughing, I was sad, and then I was angry, I was crying at the end of the movie. I said, you know what? This movie is too much. But it then brought me back to reality and said, this is life. And that is what life is. You have some sad days, you have some happy days or moments. You have some times when you're angry, and you have times when you cry. And so maybe that was the most realistic movie that I have ever watched. And I don't think it was a true story either. So of course, if it's true stories, like it's life. Because usually movies, you want to watch something that is kind of like happy or some type of action or something like that. But this one, it was kind of like it was just life. It was life, and I guess that's a simple way to put it. But one moral of the story was just showing how life impacts, and I feel like I'm about to cry talking about it. That's so funny. How life impacts us by the environment we grow up in, and no matter how hard we try to not do something, it is because it's been your reality that you end up doing it anyway, even when you don't want to. And I guess this was what Paul talks about when he says, I do things, that I don't want to do, and things I want to do, I don't do. And I think that's what it was basically saying. However, I also realize that I'm not a parent yet, so I see from that point of view just how human parents are, and parents are doing the best they can with what they have. And I've said that before, but this movie just really, like, oh my goodness, it just made me see a different side. Even though I got angry in it, because I'm like, why did you do that? Why? And it was just like, wow, this person is stressed by the things of life. And that's why I say, and I stress it so much, and maybe people think of it as a fairy tale. I think, like, when people don't know Jesus, I cannot imagine how they deal with things, hardships. I just really can't, because only the Lord, only the Holy Spirit can bring about peace in the midst of chaos. And that's what this person's life showed, that they were just in chaos. It was so sad, and it was dated back in like I think it was 50s or something, when African Americans were not looked upon as humans, or can be able to hold certain jobs. And so they were just dealing with barely getting by. And you can only imagine how much toll that takes on someone's mind, and trying to provide for your family, but knowing you're getting cheated out of not actually being paid what you're worth. And so that's a whole different story. But this one, like I said, I just looked at it like as a parent's point of view, and trying to make your kid grow up in a world. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. I guess that movie was too good, because I'm just like, Lord, what's going on? But it was just like trying to teach your kids how to grow up in a world and be better than you, but you're trying to do it in a way that you feel like they would learn. But we're all different, and so we're all going to learn differently. So it was, oh my god, it was so good. It was oh my goodness, I guess it's too fresh. But yes, it was, I was like, oh my goodness, it made me have a different perspective for parents. And of course, when you're kids, it's still just so hard to think about you're like, man, they're tough, or they're too soft, or you have all these real feelings and things that you went through. And it's not to say that they were trying to do the best they could, and you don't see that as a child. You just see them as mean, or you see them as too nice, or you see them as whatever. You see them as that, and they're just trying to raise you up in the best environment they can, whether that's taking things from their parents, what their parents did, or leaving things that their parents did. And either way could be wrong, or you feel a negative feeling about it. So this is not for us to, of course, not raise our children or to not point out the bad things that you might have could have been better. It's like, no, but realize that they too had an environment that they grew up in, and they have their own stories that they don't talk about when they were kids. And so we don't even think about that. We just think about us, and we think about our hard times. And it's like, yeah, I'm not saying don't think about your hard times, but I'm saying you have to realize, like, this, some things are generational. Some things are being passed down from other generations that they think this is what shaped them to be the better person that they are. So they're like, okay, let me do this to my kid. So they're thinking this is good. And so until you get a renewed faith, and even when you're, renewed, like, we still don't do everything that the Lord tells us to do, right? We still don't, even though we're renewed, but we have a different sense. We have a different perspective, and we're allowed to take our hands off and do things, like allow the Lord to move you through situations, or, give us the right words to say, because nobody's going to do anything perfectly. We already have discovered that. Like, Jesus went on the cross because nobody could be perfect. So we have to give grace where grace is due. However, we cannot get so upset at our parents and think that they're just horrible people, because, like I said, they too had a life before. But yeah, I don't know why that movie just hit me like that, and it still hit me hours later. I'm like, Lord, what's going on? But I hope this reaches someone who may need a breakthrough and may be dealing with things with their parents and trying to figure out what is the best way to move forward. And I can't tell you what to do with your situation. However, I am trying to give you a different perspective to let you know that they too had an environment they had to grow in, and you don't know exactly what that was like because you weren't there. Even when they tell you things, you're not going to be able to see it through their eyes or feel the way that they feel, because we're all different. We all have different feelings. We all have personalities, unique in our own way. But we have to learn to give grace to people and move about being, just being a better human being, and not trying to victimize our situation or say because of so and so I can't move forward. And it's just like, yeah, that's reality, but we have to learn to forgive and have to move forward and say, okay, yeah, this was what happened, but now I have the choice to do what I need to do, what's necessary, because everybody's going to have their own way of doing things, and that's their right, and it's okay. But it's just like, we can't allow that to dictate the way we move and say, okay, I'm going to do this or be this way as far as like mean or whatever, just because they're acting this way. It's like, no, be who you are and who God has set you to be. So a lot there, but I hope you were able to grab something from it. Thank you so much for watching. Like I always say, sa cambio que quieres ver en otros. Until next time, bye.